Ladies and gentlemen, oh my gosh. We're making up words today, Nate. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the Paragon Competitive League EU number 4. We've done it 4 times, Nate. We've done it 4 times. Of course, joining me, as you see, is the handsome and hatted Nate Holmes. How are you, sir? Nate, you there?
Shane, if you're talking, I can't actually hear you.
Oh, hey, Nate, can you hear me? Okay, now can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
There you go, guys.
That's
He was
better.
just playing like he
That's
couldn't hear
better.
me. Nate, how are you doing today, man? And thank you for joining
I'm
the
good.
broadcast.
I'm good. Thanks for that. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm looking forward to some of these games. From the last EU event we had an influx of teams, so I'm really looking forward to this.
Yes, so yeah, we did obviously have a little bit of a drop in teams there, but that's just bound to happen in games that are in early access, of course. The first games we're going to be broadcasting, of course, is going to be Havoc versus Bunte Mische. Am I saying that right?
Bunte Mische.
This is an American trying to cast EU named teams, so bear with me here. Bear with me here, Nate. You're going to have to be my translator, if you will, into how to pronounce this. And, you know, a lot of big things have happened since we've had our last event, Nate. Obviously, the new Epic rule set has been put onto the community. And, of course, the PCL, we've always wanted to lead by example in the Paragon community, and heading set an example for the competitive environment. So we immediately adapted into that rule set. Our format has changed from what we are used to and what you are used to accordingly. So this new format, we believe, is a little bit more friendly to, you know, mid-level teams, lower-level teams, to where they get to play a little bit more games prior to going into the qualifiers. And coming out of the qualifiers, it's pretty much the broadcast is going to be the exact same. We still have the top 8 teams here. We're going to be doing, each stream is doing 2 best of 3s respectively. That's going to be the top 8 quarterfinals is day 2. And tomorrow will be, as normal, what you guys are used to, the semifinals, the 2 best of 3s, going into the grand finals. So the format for the teams have changed, but for the overall broadcast, it should still feel about the same. So Nate, I mean, talking about the rule set and whatnot, I think it's a really big step forward, and I'm really excited about the future of Paragon.
Yeah, it shows that they're actually starting to make those steps that we've all eagerly anticipated into sort of competitive play. That they're actually laying the framework for it, and it can only be a good thing if they're giving us this sort of framework to go on. So I'm really excited for what the future's going to bring.
Yeah, guys, and we have a draft which we'll have all set up here in a second. Nate, what do you know about these teams, these players? To me, these names are a little bit unknown. Are you familiar with these guys at all?
I know Team Havoc. I know most of the players in Team Havoc. Unfortunately, Bunte Mische, I'm not familiar with any of them. I feel like I know the name Fubi 300, but that's about it. But yeah, I know like Vigan, Maya, Psycho Pumpkin, Malix, and Atravan. I've seen all of them about anyway, so I've watched some of their streams and seen them in some of the puck games as well, so I know a little bit about them at least.
Awesome, man. Looking forward to these EU teams. Guys, don't forget, as always, Maturino is there, and we want you guys to go. Well, first off, thank you for just watching and joining us today, but of course, you can use the coupon code PCL EU, the number 4. And those are, as always, the coupon code you can use to contribute to the prize pool and whatever sort of monetary way you want to do additionally on top of that. Always greatly appreciated. Just sitting here watching these teams, watching us, our broadcast, everything else is enough support, and thank you so much for that. So, Nate, going into this draft, one thing we didn't mention with the new Epic rules that we have adapted is that they did have a, in that rule set is a 2-week flat ban on all new heroes. Revenant obviously came out less than 2 weeks ago, so I know a lot of you guys were more than likely looking forward to seeing some Revenant play, but due to that rule, Revenant will not be allowed this weekend. Obviously, our next broadcast, that will be the case, and that's a pretty normal trend in MOBA anytime a new hero is released, to pretty much have a blanket ban on them in the competitive scene, just to make sure all the kinks are worked out, any potential game-breaking bugs, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think it's something, it gives the player base, I mean, these guys are probably going to be grinding on the heroes, you know, maybe 16 hours a day, so they probably know the ins and outs of the heroes. I don't think it's so much for that, but like you say, it's the kinks, the little flaws, or maybe they're waiting on an update or a patch just because something in an animation might be broken. I know they had something with the Revenant where if you tried to back as he was halfway through the reload animation, it would actually kick you from the game. So stuff like that, we don't want
Yeah.
we don't want to see we don't actually want to see that happening. So I think it's a good rule. I mean, it might be a bit of a disappointment, but we've still got plenty of other heroes, and you know, it's always a shame that we don't get that new hero to make plays. But I'm sure we've seen enough of it in enough pub games to know what he's all about anyway.
Oh yes, the Nether Realm, if you will.
Yeah.
So before we get into this
It's not
draft,
nice.
we're about to hop into this draft, guys. Just for, again, a clarification on the format, day one is still pretty much the same. Each stream is going to be doing 2 best-of-3s. It's a single elimination best-of-3 bracket. So pretty much a straightforward bracket there. Again, it's the qualifier round, which has changed, which we don't broadcast. Obviously, if you want a better understanding of that, you can head to our website. We do have a new website coming up very soon. We were hoping to have that website done by this weekend, but due to some unforeseen barriers, we weren't able to get that done. But we do have a awesome new website being built by Hearted Alea, which is obviously a Paragon streamer as well. She's been helping us out with that for almost a month now. It's going to be an awesome website. Can't wait to get you guys to see that. But nonetheless, Nate, let's get to this draft. Let's do the thing. Again, Havoc versus Bunte Mische. Am I saying that right? I feel like I'm not saying that right. I
I mean, we can go with Team BM if that makes it a little bit easier for you.
I don't know. Can we say Team BM?
I mean, a lot of the players have called BM something, so be like BM Never and BM Semi, so I'm sure they're all right with it as well.
Okay, cool. Well, guys, again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Paragon Competitive League Europe number 4. This is my first time casting the Europe since we've had the transition, and I'm looking to see what these EU teams are willing to do. Into the bans we shall go, and Bunte Mische is, I'm just going to BM, boom. Team BM is going to ban out the Grux, who obviously is a very strong jungler. More so, he just has that early game presence, opens, and just always is applying pressure on the map, and Havoc respond with a Decker ban. So, despite the fact that we've seen a patch, it looks like the bans are pretty much par for the course at this point in time.
Yeah, I think that the Grux, it's interesting because then it puts more pressure on teams to get that good jungler when they ban the Grux out, and if they can get like a Sevrog and maybe pick someone else like a Quang for the offlane, or a Rampage or something, it just starts to sort of really. We've seen it in other drafts where they tried to hate on the jungler and left them with something like a Crunch or a Chimera, where the team wasn't so familiar with it and they struggled a little bit, but then their jungler wasn't as impactful as they would usually like. So.
And one hero who has really risen quite a bit, especially since Narbash support, I don't want to say it's not viable anymore, but definitely lost a lot of its power with the boulder scaling nerf. Narbash has really come into play big time, and as we see that, Team BM is going to be picking up him with the first pick, and that's, I mean, he's just, it's funny because he himself, that hero itself, hasn't really received too many significant buffs. I think the biggest buff he has received is his healing ability was buffed significantly, but other than that, his overall kit remains about the same power level. It's just a sort of, in an indirect way, I think teams started to adapt around Narbash, utilizing his ultimate appropriately, but more so with Rampage no longer being a viable support and Decker banned out, he pretty much was the next go-to, and Havoc with these next 2 pickups secure themselves what we can assume is a mid laner, and of course Quang, which also, you know, I love these 2 first picks here by Havoc because they don't reveal their cards. They're strong heroes. They're very, you know, top pick priority heroes in the current meta, but they aren't giving away their lanes immediately because these heroes are a little bit adaptable when it comes to the roles that they can be played in.
Yeah, I mean, the Bella kit, you can put her on support, you can put her on mid, you can put her on offlane, you can, I mean, you can't really jungle with her, but, you know, you can pretty much stick her
you never know.
She'll be fine. Yeah, I'm sure J. Leo or someone like that has probably tried it, but, yeah, she can play in any lane, basically, and then she's such a strong hero, and her kit brings so much to team fights, and just the one-on-one pick potential with that stun. Giving caster stuns is always interesting, so, yeah, she's such a strong hero.
Follow up the Howitzer and Severog. So the draft of Team BM is a little bit more straightforward. Howitzer is going to be that mid laner Narbash with the support, and of course Severog being a very top priority pick for that jungle with the crowd control and the ability to peel and protect for his allies, both defensively and of course the offensive capabilities of Subjugate as well here. It's going to be interesting to see how the carries go here, since you know, Revenant isn't being picked here. And Revenant obviously was more than likely being played in scrims prior to the rules dropping, so it may have been a little bit of a wrench thrown into the plans of a lot of these teams here. I expect to see just what we saw before, and that was just Twin Blast and whatnot being the higher priority pick of the carries, and that's exactly going to be the case here. There's a gadget pick, Nate. So the gadget pick is a little bit more revealing. The Havoc is showing their lanes are a little bit less ambiguous now with them picking up that hero.
Yeah. Gadget, I mean, with the Bellica, I mean, I think the top mid laners at the minute are probably the Bellica and the Howitzer. Gadget, with the buff that she had with her Tesla Dome now, can be real, especially got the Ashes of the Witches in there as well, can be a real team fight swinger, especially in something like a Raptor pit or the OP pit. But she's not fallen out of favor, but she just seems to be sort of one of those heroes you don't see used so often, but can always, you know, when you see her used to great effect, you're like, wow, she's still such a strong hero.
Yeah.
The new skin, I really hope he's spotting the new skin, because I love that new skin.
It's
that came
so
out
good.
for her.
The cape, the physics. They made physics just for her skin. Hello? That's so good. It's like Epic owns the engine that they are working with or something like that. So keeping it in the family is going to be Team BM here, picking up Sparrow and Greystone. Greystone pretty much considered the most nuisance of an offlaner, I guess you could say. He's constantly split pushing. Obviously, he can be played in different ways, but the most common way we see him played in the competitive level is you get like a Thunder Cleaver around your third, fourth item. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Nate. A little bit like in the mid game, you pick up that Thunder Cleaver and you just split push. You just are constantly pushing in a lane, and obviously very hard to deal with him because he has 2 lives. He's able to jump away with Storm the Gates, so on and so forth. And of course, Sparrow being that later game carry versus Twin Blast, who's much more known for his mid game strength. So already a dichotomy being very clearly displayed here between these two drafts. The last pick here for Havoc, though, I mean, what do you think is going to fit in here? What are they looking for?
I mean, the front line's a little bit light, I would say. They've only got really the Quang who can front line. Whereas if you look at Team BM, you've got even the Narbash is quite chunky. The Sevarog always gets, like, you know, insane value from his stacks. And the Greystone is Greystone. You know what that guy's like to put down. So I'd like to see him with a bit more of a front liner, hopefully. So
well, that's not what we're going to get there, Nate. They are going to pick up a Countess. So I have to looking at this, I have to imagine that's going to be a support Bellica, Gadget mid, offlane Countess, and Quang in the jungle. That's what I have to imagine that. Unless they want to put Quang, I mean, a jungle count. No, I think, yeah. I
mean, I've seen jungle Countess, but you know, it's not something. It's not the norm. She is good in lane, but I mean, she can do a jungle. But looking at those lineups, I think Team BM might actually have the edge here, just because they actually have a front line. Right. And who's going to go and keep running and having to, you know, when the Greystone peels off to do those split pushes, you're going to have to go and send 2 heroes to deal with him. And even then, that's not going to be a guaranteed like kill a lot of the time. So it leaves him even less bodies to sort of split that damage when they go into those team fights as well, you see. So it could be a rough game for Havoc, I think.
If I'm Team Havoc, whoever's on that Quang, I'm saying you got a lot on your shoulders, a lot of pressure on Quang. Those tethers are going to have to be on point, because he's going to be the one setting up the big burst onto that back line, whether it's the Howitzer or obviously maybe in the mid game and late game, which Narbash is a little bit more of a easier target to focus down, but specifically the Howitzer, and of course the Sparrow is going to be that #1 priority. I'd imagine around that transition when Countess hits around level 8, Quang is able maybe gets his first 2 damage items on board. That's really when they're going to try to punch it to this Sparrow, because, you know, Sparrow really doesn't come online until a little bit the later stage of the mid game, assuming normal par for the course economical levels across the board. So it's going to be interesting. As far as the late game goes, I think Team BM has it in the bag here, but Havoc has a very powerful burst damage and reliable ways to get into the back line, but it's going to be all about that tether, I feel like. If Quang isn't going to be on point with his tethers, I feel like they're going to struggle, especially in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of hoping they build that Quang a little bit tanky. He is tanky anyway. Something of the heavens. The right click. I apologize. Yeah, so everything's of the heavens. But he can build. You know, he can be tanky for that 2 seconds, but he's gonna have to build tanky, you know, into his kit as well, with some armor on top of that and some health, because no one else is gonna be able to take that sort of front line to take the damage, basically.
Yeah. Pretty much. Well, Nate, I'm ready to get this game underway. I'm loaded in. I'm at the 5 seconds, as we're used to. Ladies and gentlemen, Nate, are you ready to get this game underway? Let's do it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh my gosh, we did it, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your ongoing support for over a year now. Agora's Rising and now Paragon Competitive League. Legacy now into Agora. RIP travel mode. And we've now come here with an official rule set from Epic. Looking forward to this game. Let's introduce these teams here. Over on the blue team is going to be Team BM. We have Semi on the Narbash, Fusions on Greystone, Never on Howitzer, Secret on Severog, and Fubi on the Sparrow.
Yeah, and for Team Havoc, we're going to have Amaya 1612 on the Quang, Atravan on the Bellica, Malix on the Twin Blast, Psycho Pumpkin on the Gadget, and Vigin on the Countess.
So, of course, the Raptors, as of their recent change, the big patch that came out where the whole dynamic of the game changed, the laning phase became a little bit shorter, and the biggest point of contention has been the Raptors. With that sort of being the priority, that mid-game emphasis where the Raptors are so very important, I'd imagine that I feel like Havoc has a little bit of an advantage just due to the nature of the draft. But it's really all depending on the Sparrow play. These lanes are confusing me right now, Nate. I'm a little bit confused by these lanes right now. Not gonna lie.
So we've got the duo lane from Havoc on the left lane with the Howitzer coming across. We have the Sparrow and the Narbash in the mid lane against the Gadget, and then the Countess against the Greystone.
So
Interesting.
yeah, there's sort of almost a offensive dual lane with the carry here. Very interesting. Now, we haven't seen dual lane mid in quite some time. You know, obviously, Auction today, they were sort of the, maybe not necessarily the pioneers, but they definitely played it the best when that was still favored in the meta.
Yeah.
But this is very interesting, specifically the offensive carry lane here. This is something we've seen maybe once or twice before, and I think it's all going to come down to, are they going to be able to make a strong push against this tower, and are they going to be able to mitigate the Howitzer's farm? I honestly, I don't think Team BM was expecting this at all.
No, I mean, they've managed to make the Howitzer back in the first 2 minutes of the game already, you know, before he literally came out, got burst down, had to back straight away. So I think they're setting out the stall on how they're going to approach this game, and they're going to be really aggressive onto this left-hand side. I was thinking of, oh god, BM Never's taking so much poke damage.
Yeah.
I thought it might be a bad matchup with the Countess against the Greystone, because for one of the heroes that can deal with the Countess and that off lane, especially when he gets Izzle, because it makes her all less powerful, because she's got that really high burst damage, but after that she's on cooldowns while he's slowly smashing her in the back of the head with his sword as she runs away. So I thought, you know, they might, but looking at it, the two ranged heroes being able to poke at the Howitzer and then leaving the two melees in this lane, so the Countess is not getting poked out by the Howitzer. It's actually probably a good choice there.
Chasing down the Sparrow, the 3-minute contention over the first order, but Meyer actually died in tower very early on, but Sparrow's in a lot of trouble here. Looks like she's going to be getting taken
Very
down
good knock
here.
there.
And, that's what we were sort of looking for. A very, very early rotator around the 3-minute mark. We're kind of used to that at this point. But yeah, they pick up a kill on the Sparrow, and that's sort of, I think, as expected at this point. Kwang's in a pretty bad position, though, and he's going to get punished. Trying to take down Narbash. Actually, they are going to get punished. So the Narbash thought he was going to be able to maybe secure the pick up on the Kwang, but underestimated the rotation for the mid lane, and he pretty much gave up a kill as well.
I mean, I probably wouldn't like usually to see the ADC rotating too much, because obviously you can miss out on quite a lot of farm. But when you're going into the other lane to kill the enemy ADC, you're not missing so much, and obviously you're picking up that kill. So probably the right call there. Now, Countess versus Greystone. This is not a lane we generally see 1v1, especially since the dual lane mid has fallen out of favor here in the overall meta, especially over in North America. Countess, as long as she gets you know, around just a semblance of farm, she can really, really make Greystone's life very, very difficult. You can just harass him down very easily. You can dodge and just run away from him, so you aren't receiving any harassment from him as well. You have much better wave clear than him, so you'll always be having the wave pushed in under the tower. So I actually think this lane kind of favors the Countess, at least maybe once Countess hits level 8, but up until then, it's pretty much a wash. I'm not sure, because, you know, the Greystone's wave play is nothing to be sniffed at, because those auto attacks on top of the area he has, it will chew through me. Obviously, it doesn't quite have the immediate benefit that the Countess has, but he will chew through them, and it's just relentless. Oh, could be in trouble here. Nice shadow sword. Actually, no, it's stepping in. Severov's taking a lot of pot shots. He should be able to get away. They pretty much juggle the tower aggro, and as I said, the Countess is a favor in the lane. Severov goes ahead and proves me wrong, but I'm okay with that.
No siege. Actually, no, there is a siege minion in this push, so going to get some significant damage done to this tower. We do see Kwong rotating, maybe trying to find the Sevarog, but Sevarog, not doing the lazy back. This isn't another notch of stream. He's going to go ahead and back away. He's going to be able to do it. On the other side of the field here, Never is going to get taken out. Soul Blast should be able to get away. The tower shot, barely able to dodge that one. Probably would have lived anyways, so.
I thought I was going to get caught on the minion.
Both of these teams mirroring each other's actions, but it looks like the push coming up from Team BM is going to be a little bit stronger. They have the siege minion, as well as the fact that Bellica's got plenty of mana. They are going to back away here, which I'm a little bit surprised about. Maybe they feel threatened by a potential rotate, which we do see Sevarog rotating over here, but only level 4 just now has his first ward, only a key. And without level 5, I don't think he has any kill potential at this point in time by himself.
No, I don't think Bellica's going to be have more than enough to basically deal with him. He's going to wait till he roots and then, you know, knock him up and just allow the Twin Blast to use his dash to get out of there. So I think it'd have been all right. I thought tower on about, what, 5% HP there?
Yeah.
One more push and they should have that down.
Yeah, especially if they just, I mean, you know, if you're in a solo lane, whether it's mid or off lane or a situation like this, and you are even levels or behind levels on the dual lane carry, you know you're not having a good lane. And that's exactly the situation that's happening right now. Level 4 to level 4, but of course, normally in a solo lane, you want to have a significant card experience lead, especially when you're playing a hero like Howitzer, who really needs level 5, but more so needs that level 8. The level 4 on R2000 Rocket is really when you're able to just snipe people down. I mean, he doesn't get as much strength from his cards, per se, in the early stages of the match as he does from just raw levels. And they've done a good job with this offensive dual lane. When Monolith first came out, I always pontificated and postulated, I'm like, can we please see an offensive duo lane? And I'm glad we're starting to see teams try to figure this out and starting to adjust to new lane configurations and not be afraid to experiment. In the mid lane, we did see an exchange go down where Sevarog was able to secure a kill onto the Narbash, but he's trying to get away under the defense of his tower. Myers going to look for a tether. If he's able to land an ult, and he might be able to kill, but this is very greedy. He's going to go in for this. He didn't have the mana for the ultimate, so if he had that mana, he might have gone in. He would have paid for his life, but more so was able to zone out Sevarog, but more importantly, Fubi, to get the tier 1 in the mid lane and are able to get away cleanly. And also elsewhere in the world, Howitzer was picked up again. So Never having a very bad game, or not very bad game, but just struggling in this game thus far. And immediately they pick up the tier 1 tower in the off lane and pick up the green buff for their carry. So these teams right now are just sort of striking all across the map and picking up objectives. Yeah,
well, it was May actually went in with his ult. He missed the tether at first to land it on the Sparrow just before. I'll say he missed. Actually, the Sparrow actually dodged it. To be fair to Maya, he went in with the ult to just slow down the Narbash. Psycho Pumpkins dropped down the Tesla Dome, secured the kill on the Narbash. But as they were diving, they were just. I think they'd used up a little bit too much. They just didn't have the reach to go any further there, unfortunately.
And now we see a natural transition of the dual lane over to the mid lane here, as they picked up that tier 1 tower in the off lane as well. Countess has been doing a pretty good job of thwarting off the Greystone here. I mean, we were talking about that matchup earlier. I feel like if both of them just play in a passive nature, that I don't know, like their wave clear is just like, hey, you're going to clear my wave, I'll clear your wave, and we'll just kind of harass each other down every now and then. I don't expect much to go on there in a 1v1 unless there's a rotation or one of them makes a misplay there. And just so you guys know, that was everyone's checking their windows right now. That was just Adobe notifying me that Photoshop needs to be updated. So thanks, Adobe, for trolling everyone in Twitch chat there. Way to go.
I think the way the lane's going, how passive they're both playing in this lane, the Greystone and the Countess, it favors more so the Countess because as she gets more powerful, a lot of damage coming onto fusions there.
Shadow Slip as well. So at very minimum, Reforged on cooldown now for 3 minutes, and Myers here, if he lands the tether, they should pretty much be able to get it killed. Uses the Storm the Gates, a little shoot to whoop across the map. Atrovents here, looking for a seismic assault. There's a seismic assault. And that is going to be the death of the Greystone. He admits defeat, as you see. He just pretty much stopped walking in a period of time. So the Greystone, his eyes got a little bigger than his stomach there. He didn't have an aggressive forward ward, but yet pushed into the tier 1 tower a little bit recklessly, and they punished him accordingly.
Yeah, what I was trying to say is when the Countess comes online, she's so much more dangerous because she can start hunting those squishy characters, those Howitzers, the Sparrow, whereas the Greystone is just going to be used to sort of bully down lanes and sort of keep swinging during team fights, try and be a nuisance, but not quite as direct a threat as the counters will be.
10 minutes, just like clockwork. Team BM. So Havoc rotating immediately over there, and they pick it up without any sort of contention, not even any sort of potential to defend or contend those Raptors. So 3 card points right over to Twin Blast.
So cleanly taken, yeah, they knew exactly. And this is where, you know, they've put the duo lane on the side of the Raptors, push down that tower, push down that middle tower, which gives them so much space to operate in when going for those Raptors. And, you know, look at the ward coverage. They've got both just going into the enemy's safe jungle and through that river, so they've got good vision as well, and early vision for when they come, if they're going to try and contest it. But
Fusions is looking for a kill onto Kwong. The tether does land, so he's just going to have to stand there and deal with it. He does not have Reforge online, so Graceland has to play very carefully. The rotation has come. Secret is maybe looking for Secret onto the Countess. Not going to happen. In exchange, no one gets taken out, though. But again, given the current state of the game with a more mid-game oriented carry of the Twin Blast, as well as able to secure the very first Raptor spawning at 10 minutes, talking about the numbers here at the 11.5-minute mark here, Nate, we do see 19 card experience for Malix on the Twin Blast and only 13 on Sparrow. So Twin Blast 1-0-2 with 58 CS. Sparrow's got a death to her name, no kills, no assists, and only 50 CS. That on top of the Raptors is translating to a 5 hard point lead. I mean, only 11 minutes into this game is fairly significant. Twin Blast getting a little greedy here. He went in for the green buff, and by greedy I mean he's just casually picking up a double kill real quick. And I think Secret's gonna get taken out as well. Yes, the sticky bomb is gonna secure the kill, so a double kill, a green buff taken for Malix. Gadget comes in and just puts the icing on the cake. And I was not expecting that. I go over to Twin Blast and he's surrounded by 3 people. I'm expecting him to get punished, but instead Malix proves me wrong, and a very strong power play comes up there and just cleanly sweeps up 3 of them.
You say greedy, he's just saying delicious.
I know, yeah.
Right now, he's doesn't seem to care. But yeah, I thought he was in a bit of trouble there. But then I saw the health bars and thought, oh, maybe not. Maybe it's Team BM that might be in trouble here.
Well, I believe what happened there is Sparrow was picking up the green buff, so she was already wounded from it. Twin Blast was able to pick up the last hit on the green buff jungle, stole the green buff, then punished the Sparrow for being low HP. I'd imagine that what did happen. I was a little bit late to the party there. Now a tier 2 tower push, mid lane, only 12.5 minutes into this game. Trying to make Team BM get themselves out of position. They're aware that Sevarog is going to be looking for a flank coming from the fog from the other side of the jungle. You can tell that they're aware of this and they're looking to maybe isolate him with that as Meyer starts to charge on in there, and Secret is pretty much all by himself. Tether is going to land. Narbash is there, but I don't think he's aware of it. He does use the ultimate of the heavens to go in. Secret is going to go away. The Thunk is going to provide the heal that he needs, and this is a very... Oh, they found the Sparrow. They're going to seismic assault. The sticky bomb is there. The knock-up mine from Howitzer was trying to provide some means of heal for the Sparrow, but I don't think Team BM was expecting the inhibitor tier 2 tower dive this early on into the game. Specifically was able to catch out that Sparrow, and again, another death to Sparrow team. All the meanwhile, Twin Blast in the right lane, free pushing. Countess, I'm sorry, the left lane. Countess in the right lane, free pushing. So, Hypnotic are in a very, very dominating position here, and this is pretty much what we expect, what we want to see out of them is playing to their strength, playing to their big power spike, and that's here around that 13 to 15 minute mark.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I've really noticed of how coordinated the Team Havoc are, because literally as soon as like the Sevarog came behind, all 4 players just I saw the cameras all turn at once, all go onto the Sevarog. So whoever's doing the shot calling, everyone is listening, and it's like military precision on how well they are just calling the targets out and isolating the targets that they need to be getting on. I'm very impressed with that play right now.
I mean, the fact that that was just a 3-man, they pretty much feigned the push to try to bait out that Sevarog flank, and that's exactly what happened. They didn't find the Sevarog, they found an even more higher priority hero. So they're going to be happy with that one here. Let's take a look at the house Mr. Forever Alone Greystone doing. The overall farm here, Twin Blast 26 card points, 10-point lead. Sparrow gets taken out again. I think that's just a Gadget and Bellica rotate over there.
Yeah.
The Sparrow this is the double-edged sword of Sparrow. She requires babysitting. That's the nature of her kit. A little bit of babysitting. If you're able to babysit her and provide the space she needs, she's just able to smash that R button and mow down a team in the 30-plus minute situation. But without that babysitting, and if teams are able to exploit the fact that it just has that pretty much no mobility whatsoever, this is kind of what we're expecting to see. And also the fact that Team BM is just, they are not contending these Raptors whatsoever. They couldn't there because their carry was dead, but that has been with these Raptors here, have been completely uncontended. And any team who wants to find themselves in a mid-game economical advantage or even just keeping up with the team, they have to be contending those Raptors. And I feel like that's the biggest mistake thus far coming out of Team BM.
I mean, I was worried they would have no front line, but Team Havoc are just proving me wrong. Just like, well, we're just going to keep getting those picks and just pick them off one by one and not really need that front line, because we're not going to go into those prolonged team fights where it's a 5v5 in those tight corridors. We're basically going to pick them off one by one in their own jungle, in lane, and that's what we keep seeing them do. I mean, I think his Psycho Pumpkin's on 6-0 right now. He's really gone under the radar. It's nothing flashy, just been going about business, dropping Tesla domes on people and killing them.
Sticky Bomb being that finisher that we all know and love. The moment of disappointment when you feel like you're going to get away and all of a sudden you see that thing go over your head and you're like, well, if you're not Seraph or Countess, you're pretty much dead. Again, leading the charge is Psycho Pumpkin. Going in, even going into the fog without a ward, going into that fog wall. For all he knew, there was 5 people behind there, but not the case. The tier 2 tower push again. They're just doing this 3-man mid tier 2 tower push, forcing Team BM out of position, knowing they have not only the stronger draft at this point in time, but also a significant economical advantage, and taking full advantage of that situation. Applying pressure across the map, forcing 2 people to rotate against Countess due to her superior wave clear, and Twin Blast farming to his heart's content. The moment he sets that left lane, he shows up to the mid lane for an engagement, and is just looking for a kill here. Psycho Pumpkin was knocked up in the air with that colossal blow. Subjugate might be on cooldown, but now he's just overextended. Here's the kill. Cap's gonna land. Looks at the ultimate here. He's gonna go in. There's a big snare, and immediately hitting on 2 targets. Mayor is using the power of the heavens to get that snare and the big burst damage, the isolation. That's what you want to see out of the Kwong, and he has been performing exactly as he needed to. One of the biggest reasons why Hypnotic has had such a significant advantage is he's always landing those tethers when he needs to. Countess decided to show up to the party now, and this is a commitment of a push right here. Greystone, does he have that reforge online? He does, but Greystone, not necessarily known for his ability to defend sieges. I'm surprised that Hypnotic's not being a little bit more aggressive with this push here, to be honest.
I think they're just looking to get picks because their comp just dictates that they can get so good picks, and they're just going to keep invading that jungle and just keep forcing them to come in. And then while they keep going in one by one, they're playing right into Havoc's game plan right now.
Keep calling him Hypnotic.
Hey, so I didn't want to. I thought if I said I had a Havoc enough.
I went out last night, and you know how it goes. It was Friday night. It was Friday night. Let's take a look at the numbers here. Wow, 19 card levels for the Sparrow to the 34 of Twin Blast. So Raptors are pretty good, but it's also pretty good when you're up 14-2 and ahead essentially 120 CS.
Yeah, I mean that is starting to become really telling. I think it was early when he was 3v1 in the jungle, he was already at sort of an advantage, but now the Sparrow can't really get involved with that. He's going to have to really rely on this Twin Blast getting CC'd. As we see, Viking is just absolutely bossing this lane against this Greystone right now.
Yep, they continue to push down mid lane. Greystone says goodbye. I got no audio notification that Greystone. I just heard you say Greystone and looked up and he was dead. I was like, what about Greystone? I didn't hear anything. For Team BM here, Narbash level 5 at 19 minutes. I would say that's not fairly standard. He has the all-important support item of Quenching Scales, but generally you want to get the Quenching Scales on top of the Honor of the Peer, and generally you want to get that around that 10 to 15 minute mark. As you compare that to Atrovent on the support, Bellica already has that, and now building into damage as well. So the support for Atrovent already going into luxury items here, and the damage from the Bellica is going to... What I like to see out of heroes like Bellica playing that support position is they're also an insurance policy in the late game. They have great kits for early support, but if they are able to get farm, they actually become even more threatening and open up even more kill potential than what meets the eye. Again, Raptors coming in here, another 3 card points for Twin Blast, and this economical advantage is starting to hit an insurmountable amount. Now, the farming game has been much better for them thus far, no doubt about it, but also looking at just the overall gameplay, they've been rotating quicker, their pushes have been a little bit more focused and threatening, and they just continue to play this 1-3-1 game, and Team BM, I just feel like they don't have an answer for this.
No, I mean, thing is they're having to pull 2 heroes across to, the Countess goes in, and they know if they send one hero across, she can 1v1 them, so just having to send 2 across, which allows the other 4 players to push into that jungle, look for those picks, and just make life misery. I mean, Team BM haven't been able to go into a safe jungle. I mean, I use that term, you know, safe is not really the term that should be used because they're getting so many picks in that jungle that, yeah, and they just keep doing it. They just keep pushing the lanes up and just keep forcing them into these fights.
The double seismic assault is going to knock off the Narbash and the Greystone. Nothing going to follow up from it, but hey, style points over to Atrovent nonetheless. The ibupropium bromide, if you will. Atrovent's the name of medication. I won't get all pharmacology on you. Don't worry. Yeah, I mean, Narbash only being level 6, your jungler only being level 7. Difficult situation. Cyclopunking, Atrovent, and now here comes Kwong as well. Once again, applying this pressure in the middle lane. I'm a little bit surprised that Countess hasn't been... well, I guess the Greystone has just been relegated dealing with the Countess. There's going to be a certain point where this Countess... One thing we haven't talked about is the Countess with the lead just hits 3 buttons and deletes your carry on her own, let alone taking the other damage into account. Tesla Dome, Sticky Bomb, and a Tether Landing from the Kwong. But we're going to have to see if they're able to pull this out here. And not only that... Oh, it is prime time. You look at that. Mayor 1612 picked up the prime card. Little 2-man OP, creating the space, and they haven't been able to push down the gates of this tier 2 tower mid lane. We hear a blink on the other side of the field. Greystone is going to be able to get away. Virgin was looking to dive the tower, but never is there to provide space. Meyer is over there, looming in the shadows. Gets the tether. He's going to go ahead and... Oh, nope. He didn't land that tether. I thought he was going to I thought he was going to go in there. There's the aggressive blink forward coming out from Cycle Pump and land the Sticky Bomb. He is going to pop the Reforge. All the meanwhile with them delegating so many forces over to that right lane. That's just open up mid lane as well as the prime time push coming down here. There is no Reforge coming out. There's the Tesla Dome staring him up. He's going to have to walk away, but there's just too much damage going down right here. Narbash trying to isolate Twin Blast, but there's just no follow-up. And with the damage coming out as well as the potential lifesteal, Greystone having no Reforged, not much that they can do at this point in time. They're just playing do-si-do around the pillar right there. 4 go down. Sevarog's the only one that's still alive here. There is the triple rip. Gonna take out this mid inhibitor, and that should be all she wrote here for Team BM in game number 1. They're looking for maybe one more kill to finish this game on a high note, but regardless if they get that kill or not, Nate, I think it's safe to say that they performed very, very well. Look at the green! Guys, go for the core! Oh no, it's my pub games! I'm having flashbacks! It's all my pub games!
Just, it's getting style points now. Yeah, I think, you know, Team Havoc have they've pretty much been clinical in everything they've done in this game.
There they go. Here comes the core push, but they've been a little bit... They've taken their time, and we might actually see a defense coming out for BM as they do have 4 online. And Kwong is wounded, but it looks like the lifesteal as well as the prime time still being online is a little bit too strong. Twin Blast trying to focus it down while Kwong's just being a nuisance in the back line. A couple more damage, but BM, are they going to be able to put this up? Nope. They try to go for a push. They peeled BM outside of the core, took him down, re-engaged on the core, and take game number 1 here. To be honest, that was just a completely dominating performance coming out from them right there.
Yeah, it's been very good. Like I said, there was something clinical about Team Havoc. The shot calls, everything was really good. It was, like I say, the moment I was on someone's camera and I was watching in the chase mode, and all of them just sort of at 4 at a time, just all of them, they focused onto the Sevarog. It looked spooky. So yeah, the shot calling, and you don't need to. You don't need that frontliner when you're just getting picks in the enemy jungle all the time. You just, they had the stuns, they had the damage potential, you know, really insane damage potential. And, you know, I was worried about the Countess in the off lane, but Vigan proved me wrong. You know, he was dealing with the Greystone quite happily and getting his farm, getting his kills, and being a nuisance and drawing, like I say, the 2 players off to that lane to deal with him because, you know, they thought he's going to 1v1 him if he doesn't. And then that just created space around the other side of the map. So really well played by them.
Well, there you have it, guys. We're going to get into a game number 2. Team BM is going to have to bring this up, or they're going to be out. Not going into day number 2 here. Thank you for joining us. As always, head over to that match arena. Use that coupon code for a free $1, PCLEU, and the number 4. Thank you guys so much for your support. We'll be back here in just a minute to see if Havoc are going to put on yet another dominating performance and knock themselves into day number 2 for the semifinals, or if we're going to see Team BM come a little bit alive and are able to bring this to a game number 3. Stay tuned.